time for a brand new episode of Talking Jit.
All right. So it's the Return of the Mac episode is basically what it is. And believe it or not, Conor McGregor is actually fighting. We're just over a week out. It feels like a weekend. It's 4th of July weekend, but we're ahead of the game for once. But Conor McGregor is coming back. Always a money fight. And you drop his name in a fight and it gets eyeballs no matter what.
Yeah.
And you add that with Max Holloway, and we got ourselves a show. This is going to be this card, I think, is a huge sleeper. We were expecting a UFC 250 hangover pay-per-view card here where, how does everything stack up to that card? Because I think, in my opinion, that card went extremely well. Don't you, Jackson?
I thought so, too. I mean, there was obviously a ton of controversy and disdain for the fights coming up and kind of this like weird air about it, just because it seemed kind of odd for the UFC to be doing something like that, and I think it paid off bar none. I think that the production team did an excellent job. I think that the fights were fantastic. The matchmakers cooked, and I think that really it worked out great, and the response from the fans and casuals and hardcores alike, it was pretty well received, and I think that they did a good job.
Dude, I went to work the next day thinking like, man, I'm going to be dragging ass and everyone's going to know I'm the guy that stayed up all night and watched UFC 250. And it turns out the whole office did. Billy! Anyway, under control. See, it was out of control. So It turns out the whole office did too. So we were all dragging ass together, and it was extremely patriotic and extremely, I thought, way better than I expected. I thought it was going to be a complete dumpster fire, and it turned out to be a really cool event. Yeah. So following that up with this card, you made a discovery I didn't even realize because I wasn't paying attention to the undercards just yet. And you said, man, I think we got some of these things out of order, which we'll get into when we, start doing our predictions and stuff. But it's really funny you brought to my attention that I do think this card's a little bit out of order because there's some really good fights and big names on the undercards here, which is wild. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, even as far as the early prelims, the only women's fight on the card is Tracy Cortez versus Wang Kong. But really what I was more talking about was the prelim card, the main preliminary card, which has Gable Stevenson making his UFC debut and Robert Whittaker versus Nikita Krylov. I think to me that's probably the more interesting prelim fight. And now we're seeing kind of Bobby Green or King Green and Terrance McKinney get put in that first slot on the main card, where in my opinion it probably should be Whittaker, or I could even see them trying to bump Stevenson and put him there, but him making, or Stevenson, I always say his name wrong, Stevenson making his debut is obviously another huge prospect, kind of like when we talked last time about Bo Nickel. What is a prospect versus a legit star. I think when you look at the fights from the 250 event, Bo Nickel is a star, no longer a prospect, but someone like Gable Stevenson, who tried everything from the NFL to WWE to amateur level MMA and now trying to get into the pro level of MMA. I think it's really interesting, and I think that if he can maintain the dominance that he had on the mats and wrestling and collegiate level, then he could have a great career in the UFC. Obviously, he's 3-0, but typically they give those guys absolute cans.
Which is kind of what they're doing.
Yeah, just to preface, usually when I look at the fighters, I'm looking at their Wikipedia just because I like that it gives me a ton of information about them, all their fight history, even if they fought different sports, but MMA, something like kickboxing or boxing. But Stevenson is so new to MMA that I have to pull up his Sherdog account, his Sherdog reports. So I do think that's an interesting thing to talk about quickly. I don't want to talk about it for too long because there's really not much to talk about. So I mean, if you have anything on Stevenson,
nothing other than like earlier today, I was looking at the RAF cards, the RAF events coming up, and he's on them.
Yes, he is.
So it's kind of interesting. I was like, oh man, this man's going to be active, kind of like Sarukian. And I mean, we could do a lightning on this. You got Cody Garbrandt and Adrian Yanez, both of them at this point, unfortunately, because I always root for Cody. I'm a huge fan of him. But unfortunately, it's like you just never know. And with both their records, 15-7, 17-6, it's kind of like you know, flip the coin, see who shows up tonight, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know who to pick between these two. I would always lean towards Garbrandt, but I think that's bias. And I think I'm just hoping the old Garbrandt is back because that was such a flash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so entertaining. But Giannis has every chance here to get it done. And then I agree with you. Stevenson is probably getting a trash can here. I heard this guy's a part-time fighter from what I researched. So I think it's just building his book and getting him prepped to maybe start being on the main cards, because hanging out with John Jones and his team and all the talent this guy's got, I mean, we all know he's got every chance to make it, you know?
They're going to have to pull him out from under the ring, but he'll get in there and do it.
Yeah.
The guy he's fighting, I'm just pulling up his shirt dog as well because he also doesn't have a ton of fights, but he has already made his UFC debut. He made his debut in September of last year on the Olberg versus Reyes card and was KO'd by Brando Pericic, which I don't know too much about, but I know that he was kind of one of those other guys that was like a light prospect. But looks like he's been fighting MMA at the amateur level since 22, made his pro debut in 23. And his record is not bad at 5-2. Especially at the heavyweight, right? Those heavyweight guys are typically never like undefeated and have like an insane undefeated record. So 5-2 is pretty good for an amateur or making his second UFC fight. I think this could be interesting. I think these are the ones where it's like if Gable Stevenson comes out and gets starched, it's going to be like a huge upset because obviously Stevenson's name is what makes him the favorite.
Yeah, no, true. So that'll be exciting. Cruising through these prelims. Krylov versus Whitaker. I mean, 2 35-year-old men. It's crazy how these events now. We got a lot of mid-30s guys. I like to hear it. I like to see it. Makes me feel good. It's so hard because like you look at Whitaker back in the day, man, just an athletic freak. Him versus Yoel Romero, like those fights are always so good. And right now he's just in that weird zone of like, I don't know where to judge him, you know?
Right.
Like, is he gone? Is he on a streak? Has the new wave just come through and taken over? Is he handing off the baton? Or is he just kind of hanging out there in like, mid-tier for the division?
Yeah. I think the mid is kind of where he's sitting right now, definitely in the middle of the pack. I think it's so hard to look at Whitaker and ever say that he would be anything but a performer, especially if he's still an active fighter. He has taken a year off, though. He hasn't fought since July of last year, where he lost to RDR in a split decision. So, I mean, even then, showcasing his prowess, right? Losing a split decision against probably the best addition to the UFC roster in the past couple of years, in my opinion. I love RDR. I loved him in one, and I'm glad to see that they were able to bring him over to the UFC. Where you have Krylov who just fought in January. So, I mean, maybe fresh legs versus, a year off, but we don't know. Maybe Whitaker was nursing an injury or something along those lines. I would like to see Whitaker come back and get a win, especially after his 2 losses here, and get a win against a guy whose last 4 fights have ended in a finish, 2 victories, 2 losses. So let's see Whitaker get a win here, especially against a kind of, I would say around the same skill level, middle of the pack for Nikita Krylov.
These are good 50-50 fights like here on the prelims, but I'm just surprised to see big names from big stars like on the prelims, Maybe it is so we don't get that drastic dip after like a huge event like UFC 250. But UFC 329, I think, is going to be like a sleeper card that turns out to be great,
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens with it.
So before we get into our predictions on the main card, just to warm up everybody, let's hit that quick lightning round we were just talking about.
Let's do it.
I'm going to ask you some questions here. And you just give me a quick breakdown before we get in here, just off the top of your head, before we really start analyzing, all right?
I won't even think.
All right. So, buy or sell? Paddy Pimblett is already a top 10 lightweight.
Buy all day long. I think that when you look at not only his past opponents, but his current skill level, I think that it's without a doubt that he's the real deal.
These might be some spoiler alerts, but buy or sell, Max Holloway beats the version of Conor that shows up this weekend.
I think I would buy this 3 times over. I think that this is another softball. I really like the idea of Holloway coming out on top of the victory here, especially over McGregor, who hasn't fought in like 4 years. So
Yeah, that's a
5
topic
years.
too. Buy or sell? Terrance McKinney is a future top 5 lightweight.
So I've not ever really been impressed with Terrance McKinney. I think that he continuously is a disappointment, and anytime he faces actual talent, he just gets starched.
Buy or sell? Flyweight is the most underrated division.
Depends on time of the year. My immediate is I'm going to say buy. I'm going to say I buy that. I do like flyweight. I like the differences that you see at that weight class versus at like a heavyweight, where it really becomes a chess match. There's a lot less finishes.
Yeah, I think it's underrated. I was just thinking that before this card, actually. Buy or sell? Sandhagen is the best fighter to never win UFC gold.
That's a hard one,
right?
I kind of half buy it. So I'm going to say buy. I think that that's up there. I think Sandhagen, when you look at fight IQ, when you look at actual skill level, yes. But I think you need to have more than just skill to win. You got to be good to be lucky. You got to be lucky to be good. And I think that those are some of the things that Sandhagen might be missing.
Hot take there. Good to be lucky, lucky to be good. I like that, man.
Yeah, it's a hockey saying.
Buy or sell? Paddy will fight for a title within 2 years.
100%. I wouldn't even be surprised if this fight doesn't get him the title.
Ooh, man, this is like brushing on like a lot of my notes I have down here too. Buy or sell? Conor can still become a UFC champion.
Absolutely sell. I wouldn't even buy that for $1. I wouldn't, if this was Kalshi, I wouldn't even take it because I think that's horrible.
No, buy or sell? No Kalshi. That was the lightning round. Let's get into the actual card here.
I'd like to hear some of your opinions on those, if you don't mind me asking.
Oh, on the buy or sells?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me go back to it just to flip through it. Buy or sell? Paddy's already a top 10 lightweight. Definitely buying that. I've been skeptical of him all the way through. I've been a fan, but I've been nervous every single one of his fights, not knowing where to gauge him. And he, after the Gaethje thing, it's like, dude, you know what I mean? How can we do that? Buy or sell? Max Holloway beats the version of Conor that shows up this weekend. I can completely buy it. I think Holloway has evolved and kept grinding and kept moving, but we'll get into more deeper that when we get to that part of the video. Buy or sell? Terrance McKinney is a future top 5 lightweight. I'm going to sell. I think he's lightweight's a very tough division. There's a lot of freaking talent in that division, and I just think I don't think he's not going to dominate, in my opinion. So I'm selling that one. Buy or sell? Flyweight's the most underrated. I think buy, especially right now. The guys in there right now in flyweight are killing it. A lot of good fights, and that's Josh Van, right? I'm not.
Yes,
sorry,
I believe so.
I went freaking numb, but yes, that division, as we saw with that fight, Royval is always a good fight. Those guys, I think, if you like fighting, those are good fights to watch for sure. So I'm buying that one. Sandhagen is the best fighter to never win UFC gold. Again, I'm with you. It's like, that's tough because he's got so much talent, but I don't think he's the best to never win a UFC gold. I think he's a really good fighter who never won. All my animals in my house decided to start destroying as soon as we start recording.
All good.
But I think I'm going to sell the Sandhagen. So I think he's a very talented guy, but I think that's a very common thing. A lot of fighters who are talented get so close and just keep rushing it, and they never win. Unlike Justin Gaethje, who just kept rushing it and just kept, getting his toes wet until he finally gets it. Buy or sell? Paddy will fight for a title within 2 years. I think that's definitely possible. I'd buy that one. Conor can still become UFC champion. I'm selling that. I think a lot of people are selling that.
Yeah, I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody who actually knows ball that would actually buy that.
Anyone listening, I need to know your opinions in the comments below if you're buying or selling any of these and why, because there's a lot of good points out there, and I could see people taking other stances, which I would love to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting into the card, man. The meat and the potatoes.
Right.
We're 14 minutes in, and we're going to King Green and Terrance McKinney.
I think this is a great opener to the card.
Yes.
I still think I'd like to see the Whitaker one there. I won't talk about too much more about that, but that's just fan bias. I love Robert Whitaker. I love him as a person. Even when he's been on the mic or commentating, I think he's been very enjoyable too. So I hope we see him on that side of the sport after his career. kind of like the Bisping type, right? Very
I think he can bounce
calculated.
back.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, but to talk about McKinney and Green, I think Green just fought like 2 months ago. He fought in May, and he won in the first round with a submission on Jeremy Stevens, which I think was a ton of fun. I think that he's bouncing back right away to fight T-Mac, who's going to be coming off a victory himself, also a first round TKO. I believe that was a gorgeous head kick. I'm not mistaken. That was in March of this year. So both these guys are pretty fresh. Green has always been a very active fighter. I mean, when I look at his record, I feel like he fights more than his record says, because I feel like he's always showing up.
Dude,
he's
always.
fought 2 times a year since 2023. In 2023, he actually fought 4 times. So, I mean, I think he's a super active fighter. This will be his 3rd fight this year. So maybe he's on the upswing again. I mean, he's a guy that's been around for a long, long time too. I love King Green. T-Mac, I'm not a huge fan of. I think that, like we said when we were talking about our buy-sell, I think he's somebody that when he faces actual talent, he gets the back end of it. Does suck to see, but that's the way of the sport. Some guys are just destined to be middle of the road. You can't have a ranking system if you don't have people outside the top 15, right?
I think he's always going to be that guy who has a chance because he's got like that timing and that crackdown where he can like land something. But I feel like he's also going to be that guy that like can take a lot of damage to do it, right? Like I think in his head, it seems like to me, he wants that superstar. Hey, he wants that superstar, like world star highlight reel. You know what I mean? And I think that can be actually toxic. I think you need to be a little bit disciplined and just sometimes, make sure he's not just squeak the win out, but dominate, but win. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that sometimes can get him in trouble. King Green, he's always to me going to be that guy, almost the same. Like you never know because he could win almost any fight, but he could lose almost any fight.
Yep.
With this fight, I'm really hoping King Green, to be honest.
Yeah, that's to start the card. We're actually in agreement. I'd like to see King Green get the win here. I think he'll get the win here. He's coming off of 3 wins, where McKinney's coming off of in his last 3 being 2 and 1. So I think King Green gets another victory here and maybe bounces himself up in the rankings a little bit, maybe getting himself closer to the top. I mean, he's going on 40 years old, but when you watch him fight, he's probably really? I think he's maybe, now here's a hot take, but this is very in the moment, me saying this, one of the better well-kept 40-year-olds in the UFC, right? I mean, it feels like his fights don't go too long, so his gas tank is not burned yet. His chin has never really been tested that much. He's been knocked out a couple times. He's been submitted a couple times, decision losses a couple times. But I feel like when you look at his physique, and which nothing there. But when you look at his physique versus like some of the other guys that are in that age bracket, their body starts to decline, but King Green's kept himself in shape and healthy and willing to fight often. So that's definitely a testament to who he is as a fighter. And I think we'll see some success out of that.
Which is crazy for, being 35, 17 and 1. That's a lot of fights. It's
a lot of fights.
50 something fights.
Yep.
Yeah.
54 matches.
50. Am I off? Something like that. Whatever. We're close. My hot take on that, dude, is maybe he takes Terrance down and submit him.
Yeah, I that's what he did with Jeremy Stevens. So we'll see.
And I got that wrong. I didn't. I think you and I were talking about that. I think you brought that up in that fight, and I was like, "No, it's going to be on the feet." And he's like, "I think Bobby could submit him," and sure as shit, he submitted him.
Yeah, I think I do remember randomly picking that, and I'm going to pick a submission victory again for King Green. I'd like to see him get he got a rear naked last time. Let's see him double that.
Hot take: Bobby King Green gets a submission over Terrance McKinney. He doesn't play that hand game. He goes in there like he wants it, and he finds a submission and finishes it. Just something he's not expecting. Something that's perfect for a 39-year-old body against a 31-year-old stud, athletic freak. I think that's a solid path to victory for King Green. What do you agree?
I do. There was a graphic I sent you earlier about a few weeks ago that was like the year of the Unk 2026, where the older fighter in main card events has won every time.
It's so crazy. I mean, it makes me feel good because I'm mid-30s now, so like it's great to see some UFC talent that old. All right, moving on. We're gonna hit up Brandon Royval. This is like where I'm saying that this flyweight division could be a very underrated division. These guys fight, man. The gas tank on this division is unreal. I don't know of one guy in this division with a bad cardio, bad tank, and they all go for finishes. I got to give them that. You know, maybe it's because they're small, maybe because it's harder for them to get a finish or like a KO victory. But you can't, if you're a fight fan, you cannot. Here's my hot take for this one. If you are a fight fan, you cannot hate on the flyweight division. You can't. All of them have heart. All of them are balls to the wall. All of them are pushing each other. No one's in there point fighting in this division right now. As it stands right now, you know, Josh Van is doing KOs and dude, some of the smoothest hands that we've seen. You know, who did he just fought? I can't remember the name. Asian dude.
I'm pulling it up right now. Tatsuya Taira.
Yes. Sorry. No disrespect, man. But that guy is a freaking fighter. That fight was awesome. That fight was everywhere. That was up, down, back to feet, back to going for submissions. I mean, that fight was great. And I feel like Pantoja was just not too long ago, arguably one of the best pound for pounds out there until he just got injured. So that being said about the flyweight division, man, I think this is like so slept on, kind of Mighty Mouse style. You know what I mean? It's like not getting the respect it deserves. Brandon Royval has fought everybody twice in that division too. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, you're right. He has.
He's like lapped it and might be one of those guys who's like hanging out like, you know, this week he wins, next week he wins, but the competition is so close. And this guy, you're so much better at pronouncing these names than me.
I don't know about that one. This one I was struggling with. I was looking at like Lonair Kavanagh. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's it.
It's weird.
He's a beast up and coming. Me doing my research on this, bro. I'm concerned for Royval because I think this is another guy that's just like kind of like what's the Asian guy's name again?
Taira.
Kind of like Taira, just flying through the division. I think he's got a lot of talent, and I think he's got pretty good. I mean, just look at him. Like them standing together. He's 10-1. He's already fighting Royval. Like I personally am leaning towards him. I don't know if it's just like a gut feeling or what, but I just think he's got such a momentum, and Royval is just constantly grinding. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But look at that takedown or the right here, 75% to 45. That's crazy.
Yeah. Now, it doesn't say how many takedowns he's thrown. If he's landed 3 out of the 4 he's ever thrown, then that's 75%. But I like the chances for Kavanagh here as well. The English camp has been stellar for the past several years, right? With Pimblett and Molly McCann in the women's division. Then obviously at the top we have Tom Aspinall.
Yes.
And even going back a few years, Bisping, right? But the English camp and the English fighters have been super, super good. And all those UFC events in London have been awesome as well.
Right.
I feel like they haven't done one in a little bit, but I think they're coming up on one here. Anyways, the hype train for Kavanagh, I think, is legitimate. I like it a lot.
Same.
I also really like Royval. Like you said, he's somebody that I didn't even realize until you said it that's lapped the division, right? Except he's fought pretty much everybody twice, which I think is super, super cool. He is coming off of 2 losses in his last fights, but I don't think that he's losing to nobodies. You know what I mean? I think he's losing to people that are ready to fight and ready to put in work and put the game on the line, and that's who he is as well.
Win, loss, decision, KO, TKO, KO, TKO. Yeah. I mean, I see this one's probably going to go the distance. But
pardon me.
Yeah, looking up this kid, Kavanagh, which I haven't like seen too much of, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But I just got a gut feeling this kid's like coming through, storming through. Royval's coming off of 2 losses against Van and Kape, so like not nobodies. He beat Taira. Look at that. Didn't even know that. Decision, sub. Oh, split decision. Sorry. So like, look at him. He beat Moreno, who Kavanagh just beat. He beat Taira, decisions. So I think chances are with this fight, it's going to go the whole, the distance. But I think this guy is going to squeak it out, Kavanagh. Royval's got crazy heart. and he really wants to win. If you've seen his fights where his corner's yelling at him, he does not give up, and he does what his coaches tell him, which is awesome. But the English camp and the momentum, that's who I'm siding with on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think again we're gonna be up on the same side of the coin. I'm fully with you on Kavanagh. I want to jump on the hype train for a fighter early. That way, when he's at the top and people are like, "Who is this guy?" I'll be like, "I know who he is."
I'm the genius.
I'm an OG Kavanagh fan.
I remember back on UFC 329 podcast predictions.
I love England.
Yeah, right. All right. Moving on up the ladder here. Cory Sandhagen and Mario Bautista. This isn't one I had in my books, man, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's a fight between two guys who are gonna put on a show. I do. I think both these guys are pretty close in age too, which is surprising to me. I definitely thought Sandhagen was older than this cat, but my bad.
Yeah, that surprised me too. Similar reach, similar stance. I mean, look at like down the board, their like stats are very close, except for the sub average. But I mean, tough as nails Sandhagen, who just seems to always be hanging up there, as we said earlier in the lightning round. He always seems to be hanging there near the top, right? Like he's never really out of question. And after O'Malley won at UFC 250, I was kind of like, man, maybe it's time for O'Malley versus Cory Sandhagen.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had thought that might have been the case.
And yeah, I didn't know this fight was booked.
Yeah.
I didn't know this fight was booked. So I was kind of predicting it'd be O'Malley and Sandhagen or O'Malley and Umar Nurmagomedov. But anyway, sorry. Off topic, but this is not a bad fight. I'm leaning towards Sandhagen on this one. Mario Bautista, I mean, he's got some good wins. He's beat I suck at these names. Vinicius Oliveira.
Yeah.
But Sandhagen's just always at the top. Here's Umar right here, speaking of the devil here. Umar Nurmagomedov lost to him. I just think in this, as I'm doing my research, all these are decision wins, right?
Right.
And then he gets a sub on Oliveira, who he's good, but like not like top tier good to me, right? You go to Sandhagen. I don't know why it's messing up every time I'm clicking on here. But you go over to Sandhagen, view his profile. He loses to Merab, beats Figueiredo with a KO, loses to Umar, just like everyone does. Rob Font beats a decision. Marlon Vera, decision. I just think if you go down his whole entire list, bro, he's always fought the best. He's one of the guys that's hanging out the top. This is more of Bautista proving that he's worthy of championship level and championship fights and getting his name into the championship talk, right?
Yeah.
I think this is more of a proving grounds for Bautista than it is for Cory Sandhagen, winning.
Yeah. I think so. I think the one thing that I had about this fight, and I think you're saying it a roundabout way.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm echoing a little bit through you.
That shouldn't happen.
Because I can hear myself right now.
You check.
If you talk, can you hear yourself?
No, I can't.
Okay. Doesn't bother me that much, but just letting you know. I may back away, make sure it's not picking up my headphones. It's not. Audio. All right, muted and unmuted and still happening. Are your headphones still plugged in?
Yeah, my headphones are plugged in.
All right, well, I'm just going to continue then, sorry.
No, you're good.
Was that for Bautista, and Sandhagen is the gatekeeper right now for that top of the divisions, right? You see these gatekeep fights happen every so often. Usually it's to get people in that between that, top 15 to top 10 of the rankings. But I don't think that's the case this time around. I think this is in a roundabout way, maybe not next title eliminator, but putting them in that decision for, hey, this is going to be the guy that's fighting for the title eliminator, especially when Sandhagen's last fight was for the title, and he lost the unanimous decision to Merab. So I think Sandhagen's one of those guys that you can't not root for. Right, coming out of the Colorado camp, super strong, still tactical fighter. And I think that money, if I was putting money on this, I think I'm picking Cory. I just like him. So that maybe this is a very uninformed decision, but I would like to see Cory Sandhagen get another win here. He does traditionally win trade, so he lost his last one, looking to come back and win this one.
I would say with Sandhagen, I agree. I was gonna say my hot take on Sandhagen is he's kind of like maybe a stepped up from Nate Diaz, like gatekeeping wise, like early Nate Diaz, not like older retired Nate Diaz, but always floating around the top 5 or 6. And never quite at the like championship level, right? But can beat almost anybody. He has so much. So with Sandhagen in this fight, I just like the way his build is and the way his like striking, the funkiness of it. He's not easy to take down. So I don't see him getting taken down. I see him being smart enough to go down the pipe, even with similar range. Sandhagen is actually taller by only like 2 inches. They're very similar. But this guy, Bautista, is going to be punching up the whole fight. Same exact reach, but a couple inches higher, which means when you train on the bag, and this is something that a lot of people do, if you're, for those who train out there and punch bags, check out where you hit. It's always like, it's always easy to hit the bag at shoulder level, right? If you put an X on the bag, if you walked up to a punching bag and you put a piece of tape at like your forehead or like chin, right? Or both, a piece here and a piece here, and you aim at that, you'll realize how much more tired you get hitting the bag punching up than you do punching straight, because you're working the bag and you're boom, boom, and you're punching just straight ahead of you. It's natural. It's like what your arms want to do, but punching up gets pretty tiring. And you'll notice like some fighters take advantage of that. Some fighters come in really low on purpose. And that's not by like design, or that's not by like, oh, they're trying to duck under something. It was Islam versus, I can't think of it right now. There's a fight with Islam, and I'm going to remember it as soon as we get off of here. But that was like a huge trick for Islam, is Islam was punching down. And the other guys, yeah. So that being said, that is like one of the advantages of height and reach. That's why it's a metric when you look at fights, because the reach, of course, is like who can control the distance easier. But the height is also, if I'm 5'8" and I'm fighting someone who is 5'11", I'm punching up. It does get a little bit more tiring. And the thing is, like, you have to kind of train for that. Obviously, these are professionals. They punch all the time. I'm sure that their accuracy is down. But the point I'm trying to make is that little bit of extra punching up might be why you'll see more accuracy out of Sandhagen, who's used to punching like this and not like here, Right. So like, say I had a fighter who's going to be fighting somebody taller. I'm actually going to measure or get someone a similar height in the gym, and I'm going to put X's on the bag. And when they train on the bag, I'm going to have them punch in the bag at that X through the training camp. And I'm going to have them punch in the bag in like the solar plex region for that height as well. So they get used to not punching to their height in their squat. I'm going to have them used to punching up high. So when they get in the fight, it's easier and they're conditioned for it. Does that make sense?
100%. I mean, just when you look at the biomechanics of it, right? When you're punching up, you're activating your tricep. You're punching down, you're activating your bicep, right?
Right.
So your bicep does a lot more work. Tricep doesn't necessarily pick up that much the weight. So from a pure boxing striking standpoint, you're 100% correct on that. And I think your analysis was very well stated.
Thank you. That's my hot take on that. That Bautista's got to punch up, even though it's a couple inches, but just that extra gas. And Sandhagen just being so freaking accurate and tricky, I think he's going to take advantage of that. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say Sandhagen gets a TKO and comes back. Let's go.
I like that. I like that.
Because he deserves it. And I would love to see, even though that division's freaking stacked, I would like to see Sandhagen taste the belt. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Why do I keep saying
taste the belt is good?
Taste it. Doesn't have to get all up in there, but just a taste.
Hey, yo.
Big one right here, bro. I am hype. I think Paddy's freaking hilarious. I love that dog mentality of his, dude.
Yeah.
I
mean, he eats like one.
Dude, I know. It is freaking amazing. And there's a lot to unpack here. So let me just get into all this. All right. Saint-Denis, I'm a big fan of this fight. Coming off of a loss from Gaethje, where we just saw him go to freaking war. We saw how tough that dude was. You know, I remember Paddy in the third round yelling at Gaethje, "My belt, my belt." Imagine like that war, that like you're 15 minutes into a damn
Knuckle buster,
barn burning, nonstop fight of the year, possible fight of, top fight, period. And you're yelling at the guy, "My belt." And if I think Paddy's face was bleeding by then too.
Oh yeah, he was cut up.
And I think, and I want to state, I know we're talking about BSD and Paddy, but I want to state, I think Gaethje's approach was very sneaky good. Just that lockdown on the head, like that, it's not like it's like a quarter Nelson, whatever, that like,
Yeah,
the back of the neck. Dude, such a clever trick. Because you're going against a guy with good jiu-jitsu who's going to be able to sweep you, get his hooks in, get back up, get to his feet, and still fight.
Yep.
And you kept his forehead on the mat, which killed a lot of his movement, and you landed some dirty ground and pound. I don't think that's going to happen again. I think Paddy's too good. I think Saint-Denis is very aggressive, very bull-nosed forward. But let's see if his chin holds up to those hits. I feel like Paddy had some strong punches, bro. You can't really gauge off of Gaethje, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because Gaethje didn't get rocked, I don't think means that necessarily that Paddy doesn't have power. I mean, Topuria was hitting Gaethje, and we were all expecting any punch from Topuria to drop Gaethje like a puppet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so this fight, I don't know if I want to give my pick yet or not. I want to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, I think that I think Paddy Pimblett fought the best of the best, right? Justin Gaethje, one of those guys who just had a return in his momentum, right? Just that upswing, and obviously destined for greatness. Now, we're talking in the future from this fight, but he won the belt after this fight, right? And the biggest, I don't want to say the biggest, maybe I'm being facetious there, but the UFC fight with the most eyes on it in a long time, right? The UFC 250 card, and he came out and he beat arguably, again, maybe being facetious here, one of the most technical fighters that is still exciting in the UFC, being Ilia Topuria, right? He's extremely technical, he's so strong, but he's not a wet blanket, and he's not just going to play the Dagestani wrestling game or the American boxing game and just play the outside. He played the fight, and Topuria is an exciting tactical fighter. Where Gaethje's kind of such the opposite of that, but still super smart, right? He's the wild gun, the wild bill on the outlaw countryside of America, fighting with a revolver in his hand and still throwing punches, right? And I think that's who Gaethje is. I think that's who Gaethje always will be, and that's why Paddy Pimblett lost that fight, right? Again, Pimblett, somebody that on the microphone is crazy, is a character, a caricature of himself. When you look at him in the ring, in the octagon, he's extremely calculated. He is not a crazy fighter. He's not throwing anything that's going to put himself in danger. He gets submissions. He's a judo black belt, right? It's like and there's nothing that sucks more in this world than getting thrown on the ground and having to come back up. And that's all judo. That is the entire sport of judo. And he that's where he cut his teeth in the fight game. And then he switched to jiu-jitsu. And then he switched to MMA. And you see that kind of that swagger and that dedication from Paddy Pimblett. Only being in the UFC a few years, but just one of those guys that is so stellar, so exciting. Right. I think by and large, you would find that he's people's favorite fighter, especially casuals, just because of his personality. But when you look at him as a fighter, there's a reason he was such a high prospect coming into the UFC.
Yeah. Dude, I think he's better than Benoit Saint-Denis. I think this is a dangerous fight. I think it's a really good fight and a really good opponent. And it almost makes me nervous when I start believing in guys that I was nervous about forever. Because then that's usually when the tides turn. But my MMA math says Benoit Saint-Denis gets him down. Okay, Paddy's got really good jiu-jitsu. I think Paddy's got legit jiu-jitsu. I want to see him fight Oliveira type. Yeah. Paddy's hands kind of wonky, but dude, those uppercuts are great which is great against Benoit Saint-Denis shots. I think he threw some knees, and he's a big ass dude. He was able to like hold Gaethje and, you know, stop a lot of the takedowns and show he's got a lot of strength.
Certainly.
So I kind of think that this is a really good test for Paddy. I don't think it's a blowout, but I give Paddy the favorite. I think Paddy gets it done, and I think he gets a TKO on him. That's going to be my prediction is Paddy gets a TKO on him. He's got the uppercuts to stop him. He's got the hands. He's got a way to rock him. After a full-on 5-round fight with Justin Gaethje like that, it just, you have to like sit here and say, I don't necessarily think it's going to be like that. I think that this fight actually might get, here's the hot take on this. I think this fight is actually going to get a little bit of hate because it does have potential to be boring. I think Saint-Denis might try to hold him against the cage. I think Paddy might be doing that wrestling stuff, kind of like what with Justin Gaethje did. Like, they kind of hugged for a little bit, even though they kept it like dirty boxing and really exciting. Benoit Saint-Denis does kind of like a low double type of hold on the cage. It's not like that Greco-Roman underhooks thing. It's kind of like that low, like, I'm going for all in on your legs. This is how
your hips.
Yes, exactly. And I think it has a chance to be a boring fight. And I think it's going to let some fans down that Paddy Pimblett, we just saw him in one of the best fights ever. And we might end up with, there's potential for a boring fight. But I'm hoping Paddy stays disciplined and picks his shots and doesn't get, and I think he's disciplined enough because he doesn't give a shit what everyone's yelling at him. I think he's in there to win it. And I think he's in there to prove a point.
I think you're 100% right. I think you and I are going to agree this whole fight card because I think the next decision is a cakewalk too. But I'm with you. I really like Paddy. I think that the character that he plays, the fighter that he is, I think he's a lovable guy, and I think he's a great fighter. So I really am excited to see him come back again. Right, obviously it's been a few months for both these guys. Both these guys fought a week apart. I was looking at something interesting, right? When you look at these guys' fight history, it's really close in time frame. They made their UFC debut a month apart.
Really?
A month apart, yeah. So Benoit Saint-Denis' first UFC fight was October 30th of 2021, and Paddy's first UFC fight, sorry, this isn't even a month later. This is 5 days later, on the 4th of September 2021.
Oh, wow.
So they have made their fights, their history in the UFC is, seems like it was always, you know, this is some anime type shit, but it was written from the time that they were born that they were going to be like crossing paths, right? So, you know, they're the rival in Pokemon that you meet every so often that you're fighting alongside and with, and then at the end against. And I think that that's exactly what we're going to see here. We're going to see two technically gifted, exciting fighters come in, and I like your opinion of it being a boring fight. The chess match that is a martial art. And I think that's what we're going to see here. Both these guys know how to mix the martial arts. I'd like to see Paddy get a TKO. That is the one thing when you look at BSD's record, that's his last 2 losses. His 2 out of his 3 losses have been to a TKO. So I think that's what happens. I think the contrary to that is if it goes to decision, I bet BSD gets that because that seems to be Paddy's weakness is the point fighting aspect. 3 of his 4 losses were from a decision.
Wow. One thing to talk about here too, before we move on, if Paddy wins, think of the options, the big money fights. We get a possibility at Oliveira. Let me know what you guys think. This is where I want fans or followers of the channel to let me know who they think would be the best fight, but who's most likely. Because you got UFC has a chance to make Paddy and Oliveira happen. Paddy and Gaethje 2. That's another possibility. Paddy and Topuria fall perfectly aligned. All 3 of those, probably in that order, are big money fights. I mean, who's not going to watch they're going to pump up that Topuria beef, and it's going to be money raining, bro. And we got more of that we got more of that options after this too. But Gaethje 2, we're all going to watch and hope Paddy and Gaethje 2 is just as exciting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. to
Paddy
cut you
Oliveira.
off,
Oh, go ahead.
that's my pick for the next fight if Paddy wins. Continue.
Is Gaethje too?
Yeah, 100%.
Just go straight to it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the UFC getting both because Gaethje said he's not fighting the rest of this year. So I think it's most likely they give Paddy and Topuria, because Topuria is, I think, 6 months out, right? 6 months suspension.
Yeah.
So that puts us right about the end of the year, which after this fight, who knows? But Paddy might wait and go through camp for Topuria, and that might be whoever wins this Topuria fight, Paddy and Topuria gets to fight Gaethje. Topuria wins, it's a rematch.
Right.
If Paddy wins, it's also a rematch. So there's money to be made with both of those. So I think there's some good opportunities for some better fights, especially with a Paddy win, right? And I know I'm being really biased on this, and I admit it, and I'm not sorry. I just admit my flaws, and I know it. All right, the big money fight, bro. The Mac is back. It's unbelievable.
Is he?
I've never bought into the hype. I'm gonna be completely transparent here. I know I'm probably supposed to sell it like, oh, this is huge. Keep watching, please. But I'm just gonna keep it real, man. Like I'm a little bit under hype. What's the hype? He left with like a losing record. Conor McGregor, I'm talking about. Left with a losing record. Like, I mean, he was exciting when he was winning constantly, right? But Poirier loses TKO KO twice, gets subbed by Khabib Nurmagomedov, friggin' easy. Fights Donald Cerrone, old Donald Cerrone, out of his prime Donald Cerrone. That was a nice knockout. I wish that fight would have gone a little bit longer, personally. But, I mean, it just seems like he's not like the Mystic Mac win column that, you know.
Yeah, I think that you're dead on. Not to completely interrupt again. I feel like I've been doing that all night, but I think you're so right. I think McGregor is nothing but a name, but I think that's testament to, you know, his ability on the microphone, his ability as an individual, and as a personality. But again, there's a reason this is a sport. You know, you can't just go out there and get on the mic. You know, maybe he's more suited for the WWE these days. But overall, I think that, again, by and large, I think I said that phrase a couple times tonight now, McGregor has always been somebody that rode the hype train. He, not to discredit him, right? I mean, there's a reason we say this behind a screen and not to his face. I think that technically not the most gifted fighter. I think that testament to any time he faced real skilled opponents, he was, you know, put to the test, especially as the meta was changing while he was an active fighter and became more wrestling focused as opposed to striking focused. You see that he never adapted his game, even though he had a jiu-jitsu background. And it just was so strange to see somebody just completely disregard, you know, the ground game and lose and I don't want to say give up, but more so neglect the changes in the game, right? And now, like you said, he left on a losing record. I mean, before he left, he had only fought once every 2 years.
Yeah, and drew that belt out too, you know?
Yeah. And that was like a big thing, him holding that belt back for a million years. So I think that sucks. And to get him to come back, right? I mean, obviously the UFC loves their cash cow, and they're going to milk him for every ounce that they can. You know, that's what business is, right? So who are we to say that the UFC is making a poor decision? Obviously the penny pinchers and the coin counters and in the front office of the UFC have decided that that's the way that it's going to be.
Yeah. And the other thing, to keep it real, to get back into, like, to be honest, it's like no one has come back from a layoff. Is it 4 years, 5 years, 6?
Yeah, I guess 5 years, right? It's 2026.
No one's come off a 5-year layoff and come back and won, except for GSP. I think was a 4-year layoff, went up a weight class and fought Bisping.
Yeah, I mean, that's
GSP
incredible.
Different talent to me than some people actually put McGregor on their Mount Rushmore of UFC fighters. And I don't know why. Again,
casuals.
We're talking to a screen. We train. Like, we've got credentials. We coach guys. Like, I'm not at the UFC level, obviously, but backyard coaching, McGregor's kept in shape, but I mean, dude, GSP is a disciplined animal. You could tell that if you look into him, if you know anything about him, that guy, even when he's not training, he's training. He's eating healthy. Like, he's not out on a yacht and doing all this crap and getting in trouble. And don't have to blast all of his information here, but if you followed any of his court cases, because I did those rabbit holes a couple of times, it's pretty freaking like, I know that lifestyle. I've been around that lifestyle. It's not the best for fighting or healthy.
I mean, not to again completely talk, about his character, but objectively not a great person.
Yes, yeah, and that doesn't make him like, and I think that's another reason why I never really fell in love with him. I mean, he can be entertaining, he can sell a fight. He's got a cool style, he's definitely got skills, but I think this is cardio versus power. And I guess classically everyone's saying with this fight, it's going to be volume puncher versus heavy striker. McGregor's got strength, he's put on weight and all that stuff, but I just like, and everyone's like, if Max makes it out the first 2 rounds, it's going to be lights. It's going to be done from there. But I don't know, man. Like, I don't think, I don't even know if like I could see McGregor winning. You can always see him winning, but I just don't know if I can see him being dominant right off. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Again, I think it's one of those things, right? It's like age before beauty or whatever, but I don't think McGregor's going to come back and be a superstar again. And I think, doctor stoppage is probably the end of his career. I think that this is just this is essentially an exhibition match in a weird way, right? I mean, Holloway is kind of this fan favorite, lovable guy, friendly, fun to talk to, fun to talk about, and McGregor is quite the opposite, right? He's fun to listen to, but I don't think anybody's ever had a good time talking to him, especially those judges, right? So let's look at.
He's a saved man now. I do like his new demeanor.
Like, yeah, I mean, hopefully that hopes to change him, but also plenty of people can put on a facade and change who they are for 10 minutes and come back and show their exact same colors. What's it like what's the phrase? Like a painted something never changes. I can't remember the phrase, but
I can look it up for you.
Yeah, and it basically, I don't think that you're going to see McGregor be a different person than he ever was. I think that his PR team is just working overtime. So, but Holloway. Now, enough about McGregor.
It's spots.
Max Holloway. Yes. What is it? A tiger never changes its spots. Yeah. Stripes. Yeah. A leopard never changes its spots. Yeah, that's it. The other side of the fight in this game is Max Holloway, who is the kind of the poster boy for a good man as a fighter. Next to probably Robert Whittaker, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe there's something that I'm forgetting, but both those guys have always been super fun, super chill guys. Kind of, like you said, when you mentioned we've trained, you've been around guys in the gym, right? There are guys who joined because they were bullies. There were guys who joined because they were bullied, and you almost always know who's going to be the better individual, not only as a fighter and a sportsman, but as an athlete, right? And traditionally, it is those that were bullied that are fighting to protect themselves and learn to better themselves, versus those that are fighting to learn how to fight.
Right.
And I think Max Holloway's that guy. He's a stellar individual.
Martial artist versus a bully,
Yeah, 100%. Martial artist versus fighter, right? And that's why people are like, you don't play boxing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think you play jiu-jitsu. I don't think you play MMA.
One thing we kind of didn't do as much in this card is we didn't get extremely technical on like on a few of the fights, like how we see the paths of victory.
Yeah.
We didn't get completely technical on how we see them playing out. So for this one, I know it's like pretty basic. A lot of people and a lot of the guys who seems like there's a lot of people on that do these predictions that just kind of like read. I'm not going to say they don't all like train, but I want to get like a little bit technical into how this fight I think is going to go out. And maybe you could put your 2 cents in as well. Like how, like they're going to go, Conor and Max are going to go in there. Is the fight at 155? It has him listed at 155, but I heard it was 170.
Yeah, I thought it was welter as well.
It says welterweight right here. Okay. So
Yeah, the Wikipedia has it was listed as a welterweight fight.
Max looks big. Have we seen Max at welter? He's been in quite a few weight classes. I don't know if we've seen him that big.
He's fought catch weight.
Okay. That's probably what I'm thinking. Or like the BMF or something like that.
Yeah.
But so we got them both going in heavier. That favors Conor a little bit because he's naturally gotten bigger.
Yeah.
He's naturally put on some pounds here. And I watched his training video, bro. That guy looks great. I like his training footage, to be honest. Like his pad work, his bag work. He's no doubt a hard worker. And it looks like he's working very hard for this fight, which is great because we might get the old McGregor back. Technically speaking, McGregor's going to throw more kicks. Holloway's not like the biggest kicker. He's more of like the boxer. I've seen in the interviews, Conor McGregor is saying, we're going to see who the best boxer is. So it looks like McGregor is coming in with the attitude of like, I'm going to show you whose hands are better. I don't know if that's McGregor locking himself in to just straight hands. I'm sure he's going to throw some kicks and stuff because I've seen him doing a lot of bag work with kicks in his training footage. So hopefully he's not going to neglect the kicks because I think the kicks are one of his low-key specialties that could be a path of victory to him. Everyone's kind of thinking that left hook is going to land. It's going to drop Max Holloway for the KO or TKO. I think the kicks would be the biggest difference because the kicks are how he could keep Holloway on the outside. Look at Conor's reach. 74 inches, 69 inches. 5-inch difference, but he's 2 inches shorter. So he's a lanky guy, right?
Yeah.
Those kicks can keep Holloway on the outside. Now it's not the first time Holloway's fought a kicker, but I'm just saying, like, those are keys and advantages McGregor can bring into this fight. Throwing really good kicks, spinning back kicks when Holloway circles. You can throw a spinning back kick. Holloway goes to they're facing each other. Holloway goes to the non-power side to get out, right? To slide out from danger. McGregor throws a spinning back kick to cut him off. That lands like he did to Chad Mendez back in the day. Like, he's got strong kicks. That misses. He's still got Holloway squared up. He might have a shot at throwing that left hook or like a jab or fixing the footwork and getting the advantage here.
Right.
So Max is really going to have to play smart and like pick him when he comes in. Like, he's not going to, I don't think he's going to be teeing off on him like people are kind of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think McGregor might land one or two really good like pops on Max where it's like, oh shit, I'm kind of worried for him,
Yeah.
So we're hoping that Max, if you're rooting for Max, you're hoping that Max comes in there and just plays tag and is just clearly the better boxer and good at staying out of danger. So I think it's a little bit closer and more of a crazy fight than people are giving it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I also think Max is some of the best striking in the game still. He's 34 years old. He's been competing at the highest level the whole time. He hasn't taken a break. In fact, he fights more than almost anyone. So I do think he has the chance to dance around McGregor's ring rust. So I think that's the difference right there. I think Conor's path to victory is probably that, and that's simple. Sticking to the kicks, sticking to keeping Holloway out. Because what's going to happen is Holloway might land a 1 or 2 combo and land like 2 or 3 tags, kind of like Nate Diaz was doing on McGregor back in the day.
Right.
And then McGregor might land 1 or 2 good ones. But I don't think the judges and the money is following Conor anymore like it used to. I remember watching that Nate Diaz fight, the second one. Nate would land like a 4-piece combo on Conor, and then Conor would land like 1 hit, and then they'd be like, ooh, nice jab by Conor.
Yeah.
You wouldn't hear anything about and that's what kind of worries me about the chance of the Holloway fight here, is because like if there's still that hype on McGregor where UFC is trying to still make their money off of him, they're only going to emphasize what McGregor does in the match, and Holloway probably has a smaller chance of knocking Conor out. He's probably going to have to get a decision, maybe a TKO, but Conor's got heart. We've seen fights where Conor is gassed and he's still trying,
Right. I mean, it depends on how much coke they let get through the system on his drug test, but that's going to determine his battery in the cage. I digress.
And the I'm trying to give the man the benefit of the doubt here.
I digress. I think you're right. I think the kicks and the reach are probably going to be his realistic only path to victory. You know, hopefully his coaches work with him and we're able to get him out of his own head to make him remember fighting and not remember just, you know, slobber knockers and trying to attach to you know, win via, you know, haram ball. But I'd like to see a big victory here for Holloway. And, you know, for us to, this is the thing that people are going to remember him for. I mean, obviously they fought in the past, right? I don't know if you, I think you did briefly touch on that, but they fought in the past. So
from the past, Max never stopped, and Max always got better and always grew to the point to where now he's got all these fights and all this experience, and he's still at the top.
Yeah. I hate to say this too, but like, look at the level of competition that Holloway has fought versus the level of competition that McGregor fought over time, right? I mean, when you look at Holloway's record, whether it's a win or a loss, it's the best of the best, the strongest fighters in his divisions from pretty much the time he's been in the sport. So
look at this. I mean, that's true. Like I go compete at IBJJF. I haven't been there in 2 years. I've got rust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm in there and I'm not thinking about points as clearly and 3 steps ahead like normal. I'm thinking like in the moment, and that's just getting through the moment because it's like I've got rust. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can let this shit play. So yeah, this level is freaking crazy. Like,
I mean,
no ducks.
Just to talk about rust again, I mean, like, if you take a week off from the gym, you come back and you're getting your clock cleaned every time.
Yes.
Like, it sucks. So I think that this is a Holloway victory. I think that I bet the betting odds on this are insane for Holloway. But I don't, you know, I not to harp too much more. I feel like we've talked in circles at this point, but I think Holloway's far and away the better current fighter.
I agree. I think Holloway's going to take it. I can't tell you how, if it's going to be decision or hopefully a TKO to prove a point. That would be freaking
break his leg again.
Point down at the mat. We always love to see that. Could you imagine if he does that to Conor?
Dude, I think he has to, right? I think for the producers are going to beg him to do it.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, that's what I hope to see the most is a Conor McGregor. Like, he's usually so tactical. I would love to see a point down at the mat and a Conor McGregor, Max Holloway, like 10-second burst. That'd be that'd be the coolest thing. Because I don't know. Seeing McGregor oblige, I'd be sick. Yeah, but that's the best I hope for. But yeah, man, those are predictions. We did it in just about an hour, which is awesome, and with a little bit of extra, including our lightning round and our prelim.
Yeah, I think this was a good session, a good episode.
Yeah, everyone who made it this far, and everyone, just please subscribe and like, because that helps everything out a lot. Helps us get more better. Special thanks Jackson for doing this. And keep your eyes open, because I might do a watch party again. That was really fun. I just randomly hit live stream on the 250 event. People stopped in and talked, and it was like really cool to kind of talk about what's going on. And as things go, I'm probably going to do better and better watch parties. So
awesome.
All of our subscribers and stuff can come in and hang out. You can come in and hang out. I think you could do it live with me.
Yeah, I think next Saturday I'm off, so I'll try to find some time for that.
Hell yeah. Even if we just do the Pimblett and McGregor fight, whatever.
Yeah, the co and the main, yeah.
So keep that in mind, guys. Thanks for supporting. Thanks for everything. Don't forget to check out your shop, Jitsu. Link in the description. Really comfy shirts. Jackson, we'll get you some.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Let me peace out.
Hey,